Chapter 8:10. Diamond, turning his head with a bright face, thinking the sage had returned, froze in place upon seeing the long shadow looming over him. It was none other than the very person he had just cursed to death, standing there. Nahan? Brother, didn't I tell you that we would meet again soon? Oh, so that's Nahan. Ooh. I'm kind of rooting for Nahan. I have been rooting for him these past couple of chapters, didn't I? And I definitely lost that bet. With those words, Nahan lifted the corners of his lips. In that smile, too faint to be considered joyful, Damon's spine chilled. How on earth did you hear? Did you think I have been waiting here without any preparations? Huh? The sage is not here, Damon shouted, but his voice trembled pitifully. It seems so. Abandoned by the sage, you are left here alone, aren't you? No, the sage is... The sage is... Damon's outcry faded as he heard Nahan's footsteps slowly approaching him. The sage is... Finally, standing right in front of Diamond, Nahan bent down and grabbed his head with one arm. The hand, wrapped in bandages, faintly reeked of old blood. Then, incongruously tender, a whisper reached Damon's ears. Brother, you have two paths before you. One is to die here alone, upholding loyalty to a traitor and becoming food for rats. And the other is to tell me where the sage went and receive at least minimal treatment from the brothers who followed me. Of course, afterward, you will face punishment for inflicting pain and death upon countless brothers and sisters at our base. Which do you choose? In front of that devilish question, Damon urinated in fear, having a seizure. So Nahan and the sage might be in the city somewhere right now? Yes, so be careful. Make sure Hosanna doesn't get wind of this for a while. That won't be a problem. Hosanna seems distracted by something other than Nahan himself these days. Today, one day before the funeral of Horny's second prince Ashraf, either having a rare conversation with Kana furrowed his brows at this unexpected topic. He's showing interest in something other than Nahan? Yes, that's what I came to talk about. Remember the Horny's first princess who visited recently? Princess Myra? Yes, remember when Hosanna briefly encountered her last time? Of course he remembered. He had run into Kana and Hosanna while leading the unwell Myra to the medical unit. At that time, Hosanna seemed to be hiding, not even lifting his head properly. After the princess left, Hosanna asked for her name. Since then, he often inquires about her and Horny, and although he seemed to be trying to hide it, something unusual is definitely going on. Is Nahan part of Horny family? That dude definitely indulges himself with a lot of women, so I don't think we'll be surprised if we learn that he took a southern woman and treated his son badly. Hosanna and Princess Myra. The connection between these two seemingly unrelated individuals was puzzling. Either calmly asked Kana, "You have read the information, right?" Of course, there was nothing direct, but that might be because Hosanna knows so little about Princess Myra. However, the emotions Hosanna feels when her name comes up are clear: confusion and fear. Confusion and fear. Listen, maybe the noble house where Nahan and Hosanna were. Could it possibly have some connection to Horny? Otherwise, there is no way Hosanna would know about the princess. Either lowering his voice secretly, gazed into Kana's eyes, lost in thought. Kishir had already received a report from Yidar about Nahan's past and the oath that bound Hosanna. They were tracking down Nahan's former residence based on the tale and simultaneously searching for a way to break Hosanna's binding oath. The oath on Hosanna was particularly troublesome, different from the double oath prohibition that had killed assassins in the past. Firstly, the oath that bound him wasn't issued using an official temple scroll, yet paradoxically, it possessed a power equal to, if not stronger than, the temple's own. Kishir surmised that it must have been made by an official temple craftsman. In other words, it was an illegal product, stronger than the original, made deliberately by a genuine craftsman who had erased his name. At that time, Kishir twisted his lips into a smirk and said, "Such cases are rare, very rare. It means someone who could afford an official oath sought an illicit, more powerful version. There was only one way this could be possible. The person had enough power and wealth to make such a request to a temple craftsman. How many families could casually use such an item to silence a bastard and his servant? Not many, he assumed. The honey dukedom rulers of the south and their influential branched families certainly fit the bill. Perhaps something has already emerged in Kishir's ongoing investigation, but it wouldn't hurt to have an additional clue." Either concluded his thoughts and decided, "It sounds like a plausible theory. I will mention it to the commander." Kana was pleased with Idur's response. Upon hearing Kana's speculation, Kishir also showed considerable delight. "I was already investigating Nahan's old house based on Hosanna's information, but the search was proving more difficult than expected. This is good news. I thought you might already know something." Well, if you think about it, if it's hard to find despite being such a notable incident, it means someone powerful must have covered it up afterward. The exact location in the south where Hosanna and Nahan had lived was unknown. However, Nahan was likely a noble's bastard and belonged to a family of similar wealth and honor, and had escaped by burning down a building about 2 to 3 years ago. A fire involving a powerful family was uncommon and would have been noticeable. So, if it was hard to find, as Kishir said, it meant someone had deliberately buried the incident afterward. But we did have one suspicious event in mind. Of course, if Kishir had set his mind on finding it, it was unlikely he would have found nothing at all. Kishir smiled and handed over a stack of papers from his desk. It was thanks to the quick cooperation of the Emperor and Empress's informants in the south. Want to take a look? The incident Kishir focused on was succinctly described. Either quickly gleaned the key points from the brief intelligence report. About 6 months after the Red Stone fell, a building in a small area of southern Konkachishta collapsed due to an accident. The building was registered as a warehouse belonging to a trading company, but in reality it was a luxurious mansion. There were rumors from local residents that it wasn't a collapse but a fire that completely consumed it. Testimonies claimed it was difficult to ascertain the identities of those frequenting the mansion due to their secrecy. People assumed it was a noble's villa. The Lord of Konkachishta was a hardline aristocratic figure, making records of casualties and the demolished building from the account untraceable. The central administration's reports from the time of the accident were also partially lost. Having read this far, Yidr let out a thoughtful hum. This certainly seems like an incident worth suspecting. At first glance, it appeared to be a common case of some foolish noble or wealthy folks disguising a villa as a trading company warehouse only to lose it in an accident. But the timing of the event soon after the Red Stone fell. The fact that it was reported as a collapse, yet the locals knew it was fire. And the lord of the area being a hardline aristocrat, all these points combined emitted a strong scent of a deep cover-up. Right? Now, if we cross-reference the Lord of Konkachishta with someone from the Honi family and track Princess Myra's whereabouts at that time, we might easily find a connection. The quickest way would be to explain the situation to Princess Myra herself at the funeral tomorrow and ask for her cooperation. "Oh, you have already seen through my plan," Kishi replied playfully as he stood up. Speaking of which, have you prepared your outfit for tomorrow? It's a funeral, not a party. What else to prepare but a morning dress? A bright color would have been problematic, but the uniform of the cavalry was fundamentally black. Being a part of the uniform, it wouldn't be disrespectful to wear it at a funeral. However, Kishi shook his head. Oh no, the princess personally sent us a card inviting us, so we must do more, especially in the south, where etiquette for ceremonies like this is highly valued. A sense of foreboding brushed Uther's back as he listened, and soon that premonition came true. I thought as much and had already prepared a formal attire to wear. It arrived earlier. Want to try it on? ... The next morning, Uther frowned as he looked at the sleet falling from the overcast sky. Even though it's the day of the funeral, the weather didn't have to be like this. On such a day, it's hard for horses and carriages to move, and people's senses dull. Of course, Uther's senses wouldn't be affected that much, but considering he and Kishir, among others, were to move together today, caution seemed advisable. Already dressed and ready? Lost in thought, Uther was approached by Kishir. Expecting him to come close, Kishir instead stopped and looked Uther up and down with an unreadable smile. Why are you looking at me like that? I have an intensely personal and secretive feeling that would not be appropriate for the journey to send off the dead and empower the living. It seemed his smile was one of satisfaction. Indeed, when Uther had tried on the clothes the day before, Kishir had been quite pleased. Despite not seeing the outfit himself and making a hasty choice, Kishir had commented about 5 times how well the southern style formal wear suited him. But honestly, such remarks seemed more fitting for the man currently shining beautifully in similar attire. Ooh, couple clothes. Kishir, draped in a long, flowing and voluminous black formal coat that reached his feet, looked almost sacred, making one momentarily forget the gloomy weather outside. He was like a black gem in himself. Isn't the long coat inconvenient? No, it's fine. The sword hidden underneath isn't visible, so it's actually better. As Uther slightly lifted the hem of his coat to show the sword strapped behind his waist, Kishir's eyes softened. Well then, shall we go? Everyone must be waiting outside.